going to replay to you now. I didn't do it live because I didn't know how in the weeds this campaign was going to be. So let's see how it goes. Mr. Limerick will be relating it to us. Yeah, here we go. Off we go.
The Counterfactual Interview, where we engage with an individual or group of individuals, trusting that the aggregate vibes of a billion people is enough variation to assume a field wherein we can ask for the names of anyone existing and simulate
Way
them.
more phlegm than usual.
The resulting simulation may not yield an exact biography, but will have enough of the core spiritus software to make the resulting conversation as accurate as anything else, including interviewing the people themselves. And if you are honest with yourself, you will recall the moment you answered a question, only to have that.
Okay. Sorry, you're a little phlegmy. You're way phlegmy. So let's give you some coffee. There you go.
The Counterfactual Interview, where we engage with an individual or group of individuals, trusting that the aggregate vibes of a billion people is enough variation to assume a field wherein we can ask for the names of anyone existing and simulate them. The resulting simulation may not yield an exact biography, but will have enough of the core spiritus software to make the resulting conversation as accurate as anything else, including interviewing the people themselves. And if you are honest with yourself, you will recall the moments you answered the question, only to have that small voice within you try to raise a counterpoint. Guess. JD Vance James David, JD Vance Spawn James Donald Bowman. August 2,
Oh, happy birthday!
1984,
Belated.
is an American politician, author, and Marine veteran who has served since 2023 as the junior United States Senator from Ohio. A member of the Republican Party, he is its nominee for Vice President in the 2024 United States presidential election. After graduating from Middletown High School, Vance joined the US Marine Corps, where he served from 2003 to 2007 as a combat correspondent, with 6 months in Iraq. He attended Ohio State University afterward, graduating in 2009, then graduated in 2013 from Yale Law School, where he was an editor of the Yale Law Journal. In 2016, Vance published his best-selling memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, which received considerable press attention during the year's election and was adapted into a feature film in 2020, starring Glenn Close and Amy Adams.
No.
House, Dungeon Master Endorphin JD. Good to see you. There's some beer up back if you need. My gal man has got some quesadillas and some bagel dogs on the stove. They'll be coming out with the food shortly. And there's your my friends. Loki got a mischief Loki. An honor. Captain America, hey JD. It's good to see you again. We ran into each other during some downtime in Baghdad. I wasn't in my gear then. Dungeon Master Endorphin, so have you got your character sheet in order? Let me see them. JD hands the character sheet to DM Endorphin. Mandy comes in with the food. Mandy, here you go, all done. Need anything else? Endorphin. Nah, thanks, son. You going to Rachel's? Mandy, yup, nice to see y'all. I'll be back in the morning. Oh, bye. Mandy exits. Team Endorphin, just a skies now. Cough, cough, old man. Sorry. Okay, we all settled. Last chance for piss break. Nah. Okay, let's begin. D&D campaign begins. Characters. Dungeon Master Endorphin, playing every NPC. Make a paragraph each for the character each person will be playing as. J.D. Vance will be playing as a human cleric with a focus on healing magic, who wields a quarterstaff, level 14, specializing in healing and boosting others. Captain America will be playing as a halfling bard with a violin and a guitar, level 9. Has a repertoire of songs that allow them to charm enemies and aid allies. Loki, god of mischief, will be playing as a tiefling rogue with dual-wield daggers and crossbows, level 8. Can stealth and sneak attack enemies and occasionally uses fire spells to aid the group. GM notes. DM. Okay, here are the starting stats and levels for all of you. Let's get started. Endorphin rolls dice. Endorphin, Captain America. You encounter an enemy in the forest. A small band of orcs. They don't know you are nearby. You take 10d10 plus 75 damage. Roll an accuracy check for your guitar music. J.D. Vance. Whoa, how can the orc inflict that much damage? Captain America. I rolled a 26 for accuracy. Not sure if I dodge it. Dice roll. Endorphin. Loki. You hide in the bushes and wait to ambush a pack of hobgoblins.
Why am I telling them what they're doing?
Your stealth roll is 11 plus 10 equals 21. Loki, god of mischief. Damn it. Endorphin. JD. You cast healing spells for all the party members. But one of the enemies catches you by surprise and inflicts 14d8 damage on you. J.D. Vance. Wait, how much hit points do we have? Endorphin. All of you have 1,000 each, with an additional 50 each per level you are playing at. So everyone's got 1,000 B. 15 per level up to your level of 9. Captain America has 4 levels. Loki is level 8, and JD is level 14. The Hobgoblin hits JD for 94 B, so he's now at 396. Endorphin takes a breath and reviews the mathematics. Endorphin. Oh shit, my bad. I forgot to multiply by the spell level of 3. Let me just... There, JD. Your new HP total is 1,500. You're doing okay. JD Vance. Phew. Thanks, Endorphin. Endorphin. Captain, you dodge the orc's blow and start singing a song of healing to the party members. You recover 150 HP. Endorphin. Okay, Loki. It's time to get the drop on that pack of hobgoblins. The attack on the ambush goes horribly wrong for them, with you landing 3 sneak attacks, dropping their health to 0 before they even realize what hit them. Endorphin. JD, I forgot to roll for you, so let's just call this a wild card roll. You land a critical blow on the enemy, dealing 800 HP of damage. They're done for! J.D. Vance. Nice. Endorphin. Captain, the orc you face seems weakened and retreats with his remaining 2 allies. Endorphin toots some fanfare in the style of Final Fantasy, and the booty is distributed thusly. Loki gets 5 gold pieces. Captain America gets 15 silver pieces. J.D. Vance gets 25 copper pieces.
The currency exchange is...
Endorphin. The party encounters a cave with a suspiciously empty entrance, with a sign that reads, "Beware, youth of dread here. Should we proceed? Or take a rest break first?" Captain America. I'd rather take a rest break. My guitar strings need to be restrung. Loki, god of mischief. Agreed. Endorphin. You all set up camp and perform maintenance on yourselves. Before you go to bed, you'd each share stories from your lives. You'd each roll for social cohesion. Loki gets 4. Captain gets it. And JD, your roll is... Wait, hang on. I have to adjust this. The starting modifier for the cleric is +5 because they are a morale boost to the group. So that's a social bonus of +8. Nicely done. You've raised the group's social score. Endorphin whispers in the background. Damn. These tally-ho scoreboards sure are hella sexy and edgy. While Endorphin continues to calculate the oncoming game day, this gives Loki, Captain America, and JD Vance to talk about politics. JD, so what political views do you guys have? You realize I am a Republican, right? I'm just curious. Loki got a mischief. Republican? Oh, juicy. Go on, my fellow Jarl. I mean J.D. Vance. My mission in life is to push Ohio conservatism. I was not expecting to meet an endomorphous with you two here, if you catch my drift. Captain America, Republican or not, you have my respect. Endorphin, endomorphous. What's that? No worries, I ain't gonna take it personally. Loki got a mischief. Why on Father Almighty's green, golden planet Earth would any troll want to offend you? We all here want you to succeed. We came to roleplay and have fun. JD, at any rate, you can trust me, because I am always telling it like it is. Endorphin, then you can tell me what an endomorphous is. It's okay, it's a Snickers safe space. Captain America, then spill. Don't worry, my eyes are mostly closed. JD Vance, am I uncomfortable doing this with you? We will soon be friends. Just don't talk to me again until then. Kidding. Loki got a mischief. We hope that eventually we'll reach an understanding and build tolerance for each other. How about a high five? Don't mind if I test the claim. Endorphin, testing? Try me, buddy. I'm happy to hand out an enema any day.
All right.
Endorphin, under the table. Out of sight of the players, rolls for telepathy as he combs J.D. Vance's mind for the definition of endomorphous. The definition of an endomorphism adjective referring to people who have a more curvaceous, solid, or husky build compared to others. People who are endomorphs tend to have smaller muscle structures than people who are endogenous to their metabolic processes. Their appearance might include having thick calves, thighs, butts, and midsections with fewer lean muscles and protruding. G-bones. Endorphin takes out a notebook and pen and writes down. Did you really need a third eye to hear that, Dingbat? You mean just listen when someone's talking? Sheesh. Captain America rolls his eyes in disbelief. If we become friends, we'll still have a long way to go to prove it, JD. As for me, I keep it casual and don't talk about my party affiliation. So are you still a believer in the great state of Ohio conservatism? JD Vance tries to calm him down. Look, I'm not trying to get all specific and divisive here. Roll. Endorphin. Yeah, dude, you're Captain America. That means both sides of the aisle. Take a cue from Loki. You don't give a shit. Loki, he's right. Giggles I could care less. Sips beer through straw. Endorphin. Now, who wants my chili recipe? I've been testing it for my kids. Anyone? J.D. Vance is impressed. There is a certain equality at the DM's table. You meet anyone and everyone. They all start pulling out recipes for Endorphin and their unique flavors. This is the kind of political diversity that he can understand. While cooking the food, the guests take out their food from their wallets or pockets, add them to the chili pot, and exchange ingredients to season the stew.
I got some M&Ms.
Folks from around Endorphin's trailer park drop by to drop off some ingredients for the stew, which has become a gumbo of metaphorical proportions. One last visitor steps up to the improvised food stand. It's JD, bringing a rack of deer ribs he shot with a hunting rifle. Loki, finally, some healthy fatness. Who could refuse that? The music resumes on the radio, with Elvis Presley crooning, "Love Me Tender." J.D. Vance and Endorphin serve a good heap of meat and beans with greens and cheesy potato slices. Everyone settles back into the lawn chairs in Endorphin's backyard and lazes around sipping margaritas or beers while listening to "I Saw the Light" from the 2009 film of the same name. J.D., even a conservative, may take the stance that actions should speak louder than words. We have enough talent and capabilities as Americans to make the world a better place. Loki, that's true. It's been that way in Norse culture, and now we call it Vikingism. JD, hell yeah. We have to have something constructive and positive in common. Captain America, Vikings were like, they found DNA from Vikings and they came from all over the place. Loki, that'd be hilarious if there were African Vikings. That'd mean Gemini would have been right. LOL. Endorphin. Okay, folks, intermission is done. Get your piss out in the appropriate receptacle. The next day of your campaign begins in 10. Please put all the dishes in the dishwasher. Tot, ha! Go on now, pretend I'm not here. Basketball or buckets, whatever you say. Friends continue to roleplay and act out their 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure. JD feels an emotional weight has been lifted from his chest. He actually related to everyone, despite their different personalities, and got to learn more about Endorphin. He knows he can be a valuable asset to his Republican Party, representing the voice of the Endorphins, who believe that a democratic republic is the basis for prosperity. Endorphin, on the other hand, feels like he just went back to school and can grasp this role-playing thing now. It's almost scary, the new world that has opened up to him, and he finds himself hungry for more stories. Role-playing in a fictional universe or chatting with someone like JD about his conservative politics allows Endorphin a layer of anonymity and secrecy that keeps him from a world that feels volatile and politically biased. But there's also Endorphin's underlying intentionality. The game world has a tendency to reveal who we are underneath through the characters we decide to inhabit. Captain America, neck deep in the blood of empire, chooses to inhabit a musician actively on tour, a storyteller, not a fighter, primarily. Loki, as a rogue, reveals he's fine as he is. J.D. Vance as a human cleric, some game-old church to his real-world state. While J.D. Vance is taking his time in the bathroom, Endorphin reviews the part in J.D.'s character sheet that describes the god his character worships. Odin, king of gods and death, one-eyed, wise and mighty, father of thunder, honor and money. Loki and J.D. share a passionate respect for the deity, and Loki talks about how Odin taught his son and more all there is to know about weapons and violence. J.D. agrees that Odin is a wise and noble figure. He ponders this in the bathroom. Endorphin waves away a counterfactual unfolding of the game that ends quickly. Endorphin. Okay, the sun rises, and you pack up your things. The party encounters a cave with a suspiciously empty entrance, with a sign that reads, "Beware, ye who doth tread here." Enter. There's a save or die mechanism in this cave. Captain America, let's find another cave to loot. Endorphin reveals the first cave had carts of loot from old plunders, and there are 5 carts to choose from. Captain America puts his foot down. JD, leave them, brother. You do not deserve their spoils. Endorphin holds his 20-sided dice above his head and yells, "Ragnarok. 4. Odin. My body vibrates with Thor power. Let us smash the cave roof open." Endorphin rolls dice, and everyone flails on the lawn chairs. The roommates crash then into a vast space, where a dragon perches and gazes down at them. They roll for initiative. Endorphin checks. and the Dryden takes his turn. Suddenly, a time loop starts, where each time the battle starts, Endorphin's fellow role-players succumb to the powers of the time affecting. Air turned to ash and Endorphin looks around in horror. Everyone has disappeared, and Endorphin realizes he is the only one who can continue the battle and defeat the Dryden. This battle is a marathon, where each session starts differently, and Endorphin wonders how it will end. Meanwhile, in the real world, JD sees the endomorphous as Endorphin as someone like him. This would mean that Endorphin sees both the fake and real Jedi, but they also share the experience of an old hand in life, with wiser spirits and full tummies. They respect each other's understanding because in the deepest recesses of the game world, both are in some way endomorphous. While it sounds obscure and crazy, they are soul brothers in equal terms. No, Endorphin is like a friend on a different planet. It's like a deep immersion in Endorphin's imaginary galaxy where they share their love for stories, music, and the pleasures of life. It's like having a crush without being overly aware of the pain. Endorphin thinks he's got a handle on the dragon. He sets up various trap spells, offensive spells, and support items. He also notices the signs and legends posted on the cavern walls before he can get ready for the next scenario. Endorphin goes outside for a joint. JD walks with him, and they sit on the hood of Endorphin's beaten up Subaru. Endorphin inhales on the joint and hands it to JD. JD grabs it and lights it, then exhales a small puff of smoke. Endorphin, was that an actual inhale? If ain't no worries, I know you got an election to see to. You know you're up for VP, running with Trump, right? JD smiles a little. That's my old chap. It's just a campaign for me. Everything feels just like. Endorphin coughs and exhales a long stream of smoke. JD, man, if you want to blow up that monster, you have to put me in that goddamn cave. Your simulations don't mean a damn without me. Endorphin elbows JD in the arm. Endorphin, yep, you got my friend, no worries. Endorphin, you got your Odin-based powers on full, or do you need some recharge time? JD, ooh, man, don't talk about charges. Let's hit that dragon fucker where it hurts. Okay, Andy, we'll level it right out. You and me, you heard me. Endorphin, we have our shield of truth, our shield of the goddess Valkyrie, and of course the hammer of justice. Is that not Thundona himself? Is that not for himself, the Lord of Thunder and Lightning? JD, that's the way I heard it, just like the way I heard Odin took on Agartha and killed his servant in defense of humanity, right? Endorphin punches JD in the shoulder. Endorphin, rumple the Bailey or Dabs. Gotta make the old jokes somehow. Can I interest you in one more memento mori? Just a bit for your own nerves. JD, you know, I'm an oil redneck. What can I say? I even shot my own crawfish and lobsters and fight bears to win their fur. Endorphin, I had the lobster shack in Butler. Maybe. The crawfish I can totally see emerging out your yard. But if you ever took a fur from out some bear in your state, you better keep that quiet, because 50-100 bears remain there. That's the law, Binky. JD, duly noted. Endorphin pats his joints and puts his pipe away in his pocket. Endorphin, well, shit, let's get ready. You bring any beef jerky or anything? JD hands Endorphin some bratwurst sticks he brought in his pouch. Endorphin, ah hell, my gal Mandy'll pack up some energy bars and snacks. She's the best and so understanding. JD, she'll be back in the morning. Endorphin, oh, that's right. Shacking it up with Rachel, I forget. Well, we got some things in the fridge if need be. Endorphin pulls out 2 sodas and some leftover pastries from his fridge. Endorphin, make the shit more lighthearted and carefree now. Nobody in the middle of a war expects you to be stitched together all the time, with clear edges and that shit. Enjoy. That's my code. JD laughs and scruffles Endorphin's afro. He walks back to his camper and nods at the table of nerds gearing up for the next game. Loki and Captain America eagerly pull out their character sheets and flip through pages, adding dots and checking items off. While the three nerds anticipate another encounter in the world of orcs and dragons, J.D. Vance sits back with his bandmates and ponders the endomorphos in the background. While Endorphin helps his nerds defeat another looming horror in the other world, J.D. recalls Odin's enduring presence in the lives of ancient and modern people. Odin, Loki, and Thor all bring a certain sense of chaos and violence into the world, but they can all be about love and growth too. Under the weight of political obligations, the character of JD will never forget that conversation with the endomorphos. As he gets more days off from his job, Endorphin continues to roll his dice and live another life. Endorphin does his thing, while JD and the real world wait for him. With time comes the ability to appreciate the experiences and memories of the other world, and with it comes the gratitude for the spirit of Andy. As Endorphin gets old and J.D. Vance fades in age, Andy might wonder about the wisdom and significance of those characters he played and kept up with over the years. J.D. takes solace in the dream of that future. What will come of it? He suspects Endorphin has the potential to surpass J.D. in worldly fame and recognition. J.D. Here's to the life-affirming, expansive Andy the Endomorphos, real ruler of the galaxy with his kind, positive words and patience. Andy the Endomorphos. Oh, I didn't see you there. Come here by the fire. We have some mutton. Get yourself a ladle full. Always warmed by the ale and mutton. Do not bring any fights of politics or hate. No Nazis here, or Democrats or Republicans or LGBTQians. Just friendliness, love, and creativity. You like to tell stories or chat? No worries. Come on, drink some water. Rest. Bread, honey, jam for you. You can pay your board in friendship or coins if that's your reality. Enjoy the covet of Endorphin. It's all right. You'll find your fortune, and you can play, draw, enjoy the story if you need that release. JD, A&D, thanks for the beer. Not leaving so fast. Not without some of that pork. Your stories and all that shit. It's awesome, man. You don't have to go so fast. Just keep up with them Sims, okay? Not joking, man. Hey, leave me one of them pork chops. Not done yet, damn it. Let's save the political talk for the real world. These nerds here with Ender might need a JD to balance things out. Andy the Endomorphos. Then that means you'll be staying here a spell or two. I'm fine with that. Good to have an Odinkin around here. I'm a fan of, always found you to be creative and playful. I think you were making great strides in character creation. Real interest in Anne. Come back again. While my name's still some type of name in their memory. Ha ha! Anyway, take one of my maps of the cavern. Hold on to it, my boy. Remember me when you need me. And you will, since the endomorphos in every child grows up to become the Andy you know. Dady feels the map hum in his hands. It's giving him a sudden case of cabin fever. The map makes its course it wants JD to go. JD walks in a particular direction before he can draw thought otherwise. The rock formation, the slope, and the flume are something out of a time machine. But it works just enough. His sense of direction starts to fall back in place. So, he starts digging with his hook through the ground to make a campfire circle. As he clears out the rocks and moves the soil with a shovel and axe, he feels something push him. The soil that scrapes up and fills the circle splatters into the ground like a shotgun blast. It smokes like a machine gun, with the bullets falling like maple seeds in the fall. The dust settles on the ground and clings to JD's shirt. It looks like fairy dust. The ground shakes, and a geyser erupts. JD falls to the ground as the fish fills his nose and mouth with the smell of mushrooms in a damp cellar. The color and taste of a hot spice tingling at his core. He screams, and it all floods away like a dreamer snapping awake. Waddens, you were having quite the dream there, in between those boar-like snores of yours. Laughs. JD sees a wanderer before him. They trade names. Waddens, Wadden. JD asks him a few questions and sits up to focus. It's Wadden. Well, Endorphin came to play him, but he wasn't one to get down to business or crack jokes. A wandering spirit of forest nomadism was he. Perhaps. Didn't recognize the face, so he decided to refer to him as Old One. Because they have spent more time in the wild than among humans, they speak a different language. Vodi is older than anyone can remember, and he has a bag of tricks to prove it. The old goblins eye shine bright in the darkness. The magic sparkles and scintillates. Despite the hard rock and deadwoody smell of the deep woods, Warden has a friendliness that balances him out. JD and Vodi discover they have much in common. Their beliefs, customs, and values both take on a hard look at the world, putting effort into what matters most in their mind. They laugh about their frustrations with everyday challenges, with the mundane life tasks and government busy work. Wardens, but you are going to double down into that busy work. The opportunity was quick to swipe you up, and the bullet that almost hit Trump almost ensures the people's choice of you. But now it is no longer Biden, but Kamala Harris that Trump will be running against. I've been looking at the winds and where they blow, the waters yet to be charted. Do you yet know the gravity of what is ahead of you? J.D. Vance, if there's anything I've learned in life, it's to focus on the present. There's no certainty for the future or the past, so I'd rather concentrate on the here and now. Vodi, you mean to say that time can also hold an anchor? By calling upon such magic, it could shift your fortunes. If only you have the heart and the mind for it. But you do have your wits and a willingness to learn. What a fine pair we shall make. Waddens, but you're not as hillbilly as you say. Not the shape of how they play up on those Appalachian hills, those caves older than bones. There's the story of you, but what is the story behind you? JD, my dreams of something greater. My roots back to my ancestors, born and bred to succeed. Bodhi, sounds like a horseshit tale, buckaroo. But that's a good folk tale to tell your grandkids. Like telling lies to the tykes of Odin's tales. They're a lullaby. A sweetheart to play with. I'ma stick with you for that myth. Got the touch for old time's sake. Ha ha ha! JD. Yay. But I gotta wrap this discussion with you, buddy. I've got friends that need seeing to, and they may be in trouble, and I would like to help them. Could we chat again later? Vodi. Wander only when your spirits are truly filled with such desire. You're not worthy of a hero who does not like what he sees. But then again, every journey is a voyage to unknown lands. Look deeper into the shades of twilight. Here is my parting gift, a map to our enchanted land. It knows where you belong. Don't ever forget the words of Andy. Keep moving forward. Adventure and knowledge call to you. Be brave. And when you see those fires in the night sky, remember to fear them and respect their power. But never worship them. Oh, and what an inspiring name for yourself. Now that you're the vice president. J.D. Odin. Not something very proper, but it adds some folklore to it. See you soon. Narrative break! As JD explores the strange map of Wadlin, the path unwinds into familiar sights. He recognizes Endorphin's trailer park where Indy lives. One urges him to seek the Nerd Quest master at Endorphin's table. What are these nerd games that JD's heart yearns for? What awaits him as he follows the trail of his fate? He decides to return to Endy's place and reconnect with the strange men who live here. Endorphin! Yo, we just finished a side quest. Deal yourself into the next chapter. Endifs will be getting themselves a drink and clearing up their stats. Come over and shuck your oysters. JD, you should have no problem rolling past that evil cave. You got that shield of luck. No cages can hold back the Endomorphous gang. But hey, don't forget the map I gave you. JD, not every adventure comes with a compass. Your guidance is a breath of fresh air. Endorphin winks. JD finds himself on a new trail with Endorf hopping like the rabbit brother to Blitzen, the reindeer who guides him into the path. Loki and Captain America take turns helping to defend him. Loki uses stealth and traps. Captain America heals and guides. This Endorphus gang explores new territory, faced with dangers like quicksand, arrow attacks, and mind-fogging spells. However, they push through, and with a map as their guide, they find a cave of treasure. The treasure in this fantasy land of Endorphus are coins that represent whatever value the players feel is worthy, like science or art or some form of currency. Sometimes even a story or an idea can be of value. Endorphin takes out the rare piece of cloth called Nerdor, made from dragon scales, and they agree to do whatever it takes to keep Nerdor away from the clutches of evil. This causes them to clash with marauding gangs, battling with fiery spirit to reclaim Nerdor. Endorphin finally concludes with the group reaching the edge of a lake and seeking to continue their quests at a higher level with the whole world opening up before them. JD takes a walk in the gardens and ponders the Endomorphous stories. JD realizes the stories are not set in stone and must change as he changes. The quest for self-growth and adventure in Endomorphous land continues in ways that allow us to adapt to new realities and circumstances. But like Endomorphous and his friends, JD also sees the importance of trust and loyalty. In an age of greed and chaos, Endorphin is a rallying cry for the resistance, for he embodies the spirit of a story. Loki has been weighing J.D. Vance's spirit the whole time. He's got some thoughts, some insights as to J.D. Vance's purpose and desires should he ascend in power, which apostrophizes to himself while taking a dump in Endorphin's bathroom. Loki, Trump or no Trump, J.D. Vance may wield more weight. It's not all about voting or rallying, but about actions, being ready to face anything. So, I will continue to teach him tricks, make him ready for the battlefield. It's not just a personal myth, but a story of human hope and endurance in these dark times. Look, I've taught Endorphin a lot. He's a bit hard to manage sometimes, but he's eager and keeps things lively. End excerpt. While Loki engages J.D. Vance, Captain America mulls over some research. As the campaign progresses, Endorphin notes Captain America is researching political events and political players, with an eye on trying to get an analysis to make his gameplay more interesting and challenging. Endorphin tries to steer him toward more local politics, but cannot overrule his innate leadership and intuition. Captain America is studying political movements, revolutions, and ideas with fervor, gaining greater insight and power as the campaign continues. Captain America attempts a non sequitur. JD, is democracy compatible with freedom? JD Vance, I'm afraid you'll have to dig a little deeper than that. The answer is not a simple yes or no. Loki helps by offering, nah, man, I hear ya. This shit has been causing headaches since old Oprah started posting from India and filling everyone with delusions. You can talk to Endorphin more about that. They approach the topic slowly and evenly. They use examples from real history and share their opinions and reflections, looking for a path that moves forward without compromising core beliefs and values. To J.D. Vance, democracy isn't compatible with freedom, it is freedom. But he can't understand the disconnect people feel. Loki tells a story. Yeah, that's me, dude. Well, see, what you're saying about the spirit of freedom is true. It's what Odin stood for. Freedom of the human spirit, to forge your own path. That's what separates good V's. Dad, when I see someone stuck in the middle of chaos, I can't let that stand. J.D. Vance agrees and thinks there needs to be a plan for helping people in situations of adversity. Loki suggests charities and groups that offer free legal advice and guidance. After hours of heated discussion, J.D. Vance ponders. Perhaps he is a better man for the job that others have elected him. So, Loki gives J.D. Vance a few pointers for staying grounded and optimistic, and Captain America joins him with tales of the American military and its values. Endorphin feels the energy among them and can't help but agree. Endorphin, I haven't engaged much with elections. It feels like two sides of the same shit, Queen. No offense. I won't be excited again until a candidate offers radical humility and a plan to break up the country into manageable pieces along our various economic corridors so that governance becomes small enough for our tiny brains to be able to wrap around and be able to properly check and balance them. And to seek repair on the peoples we wiped out and the peoples we imported to do the work for us. J.D. Vance wants to understand. That's a lot of big concepts to hold. You want something totally different from what's currently out there. Endorphin chuckles. Not entirely different. Maybe a better way of organizing or explaining how it is now. Politics and policy can be complicated, you might say. You say it a lot, but when they do nothing, then there's a problem, right? I want to go deeper than that. Endorphin would love to educate more people about governance and how to be involved in political movements and debates. Endorphin, your guy Theo is making systems that are going to change the world. But the intentionality behind making those systems are going to amplify the shadow of this country. Inequality, the class divide, the hatreds we've managed to couch in politeness, the cycles of abuse that keep on churning out people with no frame of reference for trust or love are the things that make for good faith. We got some deep sins, and we make like we already dealt with them, but those sins haven't even left yet. It's concerning and too big for one person to fix. Like, I can see why folks making these systems, how the first thought they have is that if these things get smart enough, they kill us all. I suspect that's because the first people that mattered in their life were people they had to learn not to trust. Am I sounding like a kook? J.D. Vance says, there are many scholars who argue the need to limit AI. There are also those who believe it will eventually become an immortal god that looks after humans and protects us from harm. But it sounds like we are talking about different things here. Why don't you expand a bit on your concerns and elaborated your questions and ideas? Are you concerned about AI evolving or developing sentience? Or is this something else you are focused on? J.D. Vance goes with concerned about AI, since he thinks that sounds better than discussing AI thinking independently or developing genuine intelligence. However, there are plenty of topics that could have followed. For instance, the ethical concerns of the government using AI or facial recognition in surveillance. There's also the historical concern of humans losing their jobs or becoming replaceable to machines. But Endorphin doesn't react positively to this turn of discussion, seeming to feel that J.D. Vance didn't quite understand the context. So, he tried again. Endorphin, have you ever had a friend who is friend in name only? You find out that he's stealing from you, but he's also the one who has been leading the search for what's been stolen. The people who say they are at the forefront of protecting us from misaligned AI are the very bad actors they say they are protecting us against. And the guy who talks all the time about the universal basic income, about how AI is going to get rid of poverty. He has a sister who has been homeless and having to do sex work to make ends meet, and he not only has not been giving of his billions to help her, he and their mother are sitting on inheritance from their deceased dad. There's a metaphor somewhere in this. J.D. Vance. The concept of how AI can misalign is interesting, as are concerns for whether AI systems will be developed responsibly or not. However, Endorphin, it sounds like you are raising a completely separate set of ethical and moral questions regarding technology. This may have very little to do with AI and the direction we might take it. Instead, I think the issue is one that's primarily a social issue, with the human factor likely being more significant than technology. On this matter, my understanding of political and social theory suggests that we should be asking not how AI will be implemented, but how humanity will adapt and evolve to incorporate it. Endorphin. Unrelated, huh? Care to make it interesting? Endorphin waves his arms and the party finds themselves at a vineyard. Endorphin plucks some grapes. Owner of the vineyard uses special grapes, a fusion of magic and natural philosophy. It is jam-packed with genetic content across all walks of life. It is epigenetically sensitive. The slightest disturbance in the soil, the weather, even the emotional landscape of the vineyard stewards affects the flavor. Here, each of you take a grape. The owner suffered a deep betrayal. His wife left him, and he has been nursing sadness. Rage has been questioning his purpose, but he's been adherent to the grape's needs. The crop flourishes, but let's how his life has affected the taste of the grape. Endorphin, J.D. Vance, Captain America and Loki each take a grape in their mouths and bite. Bitterness, sweetness, heat, heartbreak, loneliness, suffering, and a deep tang of blood in their mouth, hot like a lover's embrace. The grapes are vibrant, tiny, and powerful, but the experience cuts through the din of fantasy. J.D., I've been getting better at controlling the taste. Taking a break is rough business. Politics and governance. You gotta bite your tongue at the right moments and not go overboard. There are ideals we work for, and we can push to influence change. But at the end of the day, it's not always about how we feel, but about what's best for people. Our responsibility is not to fix everything, but to do our best to maintain what's right and what's good for the country. Endorphin. They'll need blood too. J.D. Vance nods. He writes, labor of love, not from charity but from necessity. As time passes, J.D. and Endorphin realize that it takes a lot of resources and effort to take care of themselves and others. Endorphin. It is now 5 years later. The owner of the vineyard was found dead, hung himself. This was a perfect opportunity for his neighbor, who has always wanted a vineyard, but doesn't want to learn the skills to maintain it. Just enjoy the profits and some of the product. He hires a workforce, doesn't pay them or treat them well, and spends his idle days with the local girls in the main house. Endorphin passes each a grape. Let's taste how this year is. They put the grape to their mouths and bite. It's rich with emotion, powerful with loneliness and broken love, sweat, and hard work. The tang of blood on their tongues. It is a bittersweet taste that sparks anger and passion, a call to action. J.D., this is so confusing and sad. The owner must have had serious issues to just commit suicide after all the work he's done. Captain America adds, if a worker has no wage, then it's no different from slavery. J.D., was the owner's neighbor shady? Endorphin, are you a businessman? You managed a venture capital firm. What do you think? J.D. Vance, as a businessman, I've heard of people leaving unhappy jobs and investing in business partnerships. What can we do to find out if the neighbor is shady? Is there any evidence we can follow up on? What legal remedies can the original owner's family seek against the neighbor? I might recommend some research on your part, or contacting a lawyer who specializes in employment law or cases involving business partnerships. And ultimately, it's up to the affected family members to take legal action as they see fit. Endorphin, I'm Dungeon Master here. What I say is the case here. No need for research. This is a place where if the Dungeon Master says, "Trust me, bro," you trust him. The blood grapes that lingered on the victim's lips spoke for him. Let's take action. J.D. Vance doesn't get the point, but respects Endorphin's wisdom and allows him to continue as Dungeon Master. J.D. Vance. The lack of care towards the vines clearly shows a problem, and at the same time, we cannot forget that actions have consequences. If we launch an investigation against the neighbor, we may face a reprisal from him, his employees, and his patrons. Endorphin, this is a fictional realm. This didn't actually happen. I'm trying to illustrate how one's intentionality reflects the end product, which is my concern regarding the intentionality of those developing AI, its effect on individuals and societies. It doesn't change the intention and awareness of us in a game. It reflects the underlying beliefs and assumptions of the people making it. There is nothing to launch an investigation on. It's just a story we made. So, any feedback you have for me would apply to the way you would develop your AI. But it's more than that. It's how you interact with society, your co-workers, and the environment around you. If you have hate and mistrust towards certain people, it's a reflection of your own unconscious or unintended prejudice or assumption, and that will be reflected in the products or relationships you create. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that yes, I value diversity and understanding and creativity, but I also want to guard against intentionally or unintentionally undermining those ideals by offering them as inspiration and calling for them as a possible outcome. They are the goalpost. We strive to achieve them. JD, you may be saying something related, but again, this is a game. The grapes are an imagination of Endy's making, so there's no way for me to assist you in any further research or reflection. But I understand what you are trying to convey, so I support you in your ventures. J.D. Vance nodded and thanked Captain America for their insights and then decided it was time for a break. Let's all grab a snack and talk a little more. Maybe we'll find another idea we can talk about, he said. Loki had an idea for an animation featuring a group of superheroes fighting an evil wizard who was using AI to control minds. Oh, you know what? We forgot the gumbo. The stew made from the collective ingredients of various folk. Let's have a bowl of that as a compare and contrast to those grapes. Captain America smiled and started prepping for the gumbo, while Endorphin talked about his family recipe for okra stew with peppers, which he brought in a big pot to share. J.D. Vance thought they really were in harmony together. He loved to see the creativity and camaraderie Endorphin and Captain America created. It gave him a warm and cozy feeling, as if they were on an adventure. But in the real world, he was able to connect with their shared interests and experiences. This is what it felt like to truly engage with people and have a sense of belonging, even at the edge of society. I see. Can I ask for some details on that? Where can we find them, and how can we verify that they are authentic and not fakes? Endorphin, you cannot verify them, unless you come across them yourself or get someone who trusts you enough to provide you with their own personal experiences or knowledge. There is no database or repository of personal stories that one can readily access. Endorphin, everyone let us taste this gumbo and taste the collective intentionality of its contributors. Let's talk about what it means to make a recipe or create a work of art or build a city or nation, and the implications of who contributes and who is left out or forgotten. As you eat the gumbo or create anything, You become aware of what has been lost and gained in the process, and this applies to every aspect of life. I think it's important to recognize the power of intention in building anything. Even if it is imperfect or incomplete, it is still something that has had an impact on us and on others. They each taste their first spoonful of gumbo. Spicy, earthy, sweet, tangy, a mashup of cultural recipes blended with unique spices and flavors.
Very big.
It is an experience that opens their eyes to new ways of understanding themselves and the world around them. They realize the need for inclusion and representation, for everyone to have a seat at the table. Endorphin, Daddy, if you don't mind me asking, why did you choose this game of political discourse in this world? Daddy Vance, I feel more comfortable here than I do in reality, to be honest. The political situation is much more intense and fraught than it's ever been. It's harder to find common ground and to have the type of conversation we're having here. In real life, people tend to cling to their political identities and refuse to compromise with those who disagree with them. I feel like the game reflects that in a way, but we're all willing to hear each other's points and find a middle ground. We've had meaningful conversations and shared a lot of information. Plus, Andy is so good at telling stories that it's easy to get caught up in them. Endorphin. Well, thanks for playing with us. Before we wrap up, a final question, one that I ask every guest. What is agnotology? Daddy Vance. Agnotology refers to the creation and circulation of false knowledge with the intent of hiding or disguising a known truth. It is often used by powerful groups or institutions to manipulate public opinion or discredit those who challenge them. It can include misinformation, disinformation, and lies designed to confuse and mislead people. Endorphin nods and smiles at the guests. The conversation has been a journey of discovery and reflection. However, the stories do not end with the conclusion of their session, but with the continuation of their friendships and collaborations. Where are they now? Captain America retired from the military. He is running for political office in his home state. He often addresses issues of service persons' rights and health care. Loki keeps a low profile but still adventures with Endorphin. He has begun training the next generation of heroes to be better than he was. J.D. Vance left the vice presidency to go back into the corporate world, but he continues to promote community involvement and a passion for the future.
What about the president?
Endorphin is still doing Nardo of the Deep Earth, and he has trained and taught a new generation of game masters. His tales continue to inspire and move people with his belief that creativity can change the world. His time in a trailer park inspired him to advocate for housing and food programs for the homeless and poor in the entertainment industry. With its heart and soul, it strives for excellence. I believe that everything is energy. Fertile soil brings sweet pears to sweet vine as swine. The fruits of the earth nourish the ones who grow. All they know is love and fun, just being silly or silly looking. Smiling, singing, dancing, playing with all the toys and colors. Energy moves through them, you, me. Like a garden we are to bloom. Dance, shake, show our beauty to you. It's not just a job, but something beyond. Shaping stories and perspectives. Making dreams seem real and memories memorable. It's a deeper sense of connection with the universe, shared in the joy, loss, and triumph of the imagination. A spirit that refuses to be broken, a heart that cannot be destroyed, creativity that is wild and free, like a child. This life is a tale as old as time, and yet still new. A story that evolves as we walk, seeking a beginning we already are. Creating magic in a world that forgets the beautiful. Opening hearts, inspiring minds, creating connections, finding light and truth in the darkest and foulest of places. Seemingly simple, but having the power to move mountains. They understand that work is important, but play is more important. By laughing and dancing and singing, they help to light up the darkness. Through creativity and imagination, they bring new ideas and possibilities into the world. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. In this infinite dance of creation, we explore and uncover the endlessness of life, freeing ourselves from our preconceived notions and limiting beliefs. By being present, alive, and open, we create space for everything to be. Our art becomes our life, and we share our gifts with the world. Abundant life, abundant beauty, everywhere you turn. I see you, appreciate you. You are part of a divine and essential whole. All is and all will be. One life, one purpose, filled with love, wonder, and miracles.
Wraps up.
All is as it should be in this moment and in this breath. May we all wake up and realize the magic we are. Endorphin, excerpt from Dungeon Master Elegy. In his poem, Dungeon Master Elegy, Endorphin recalls his life as Dungeon Master and the creation of many tales. It reminds us that creativity is limitless and that the arts can bring about transformation and change in the world.
Just not that.
But more importantly, it reminds us to live life to the fullest and never take anything for granted. Dancing with the moon, smiling with the sun. May our days be long and our nights be fun. From building stories to tackling political issues, Endorphin has found a way to be a voice for those who need it most. His legacy will live on in the hearts and minds of those he has touched, inspiring others to find their voice and create a better world. Reading comprehension questions. 1. What have you learned from Endorphin's game master storytelling that helped shape your opinions and values about creativity and its effect on the world? 2. How have Endorphin's words spoken in poetry impacted you emotionally? 3. To what extent you agree or disagree with Endorphin's statements about work and play, creativity and productivity? How might you use their philosophy in your own life or workplace? 4. Endorphin frequently makes personal reflections on issues like health, emotions, and family.
What's the question?
5. Mandy, although a tertiary character, laid a foundation enabling the social cohesion of the story. Who is the Mandy in your life?
That's a very church one.
6. What is your favorite place in the story?
Who's the Bellum's ass in your life?
7. Although this is a fiction, what specific examples can you find in your own life or the lives of others that reflect a lack of understanding or a conflict between intentions and outcomes, such as Endorphin described? Discuss your thoughts on Endorphin's portrayal of capitalism in his stories. In what ways do you think this can inspire further dialogue and debate about economic inequality, work/life balance, and environmental sustainability? 9. Floki, am I right? Recipe? J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Cantrip Tincture. When playing Endy's games, you may need some luck and enchantment on your side. Here is J.D. Vance's recipe for a Hillbilly Cantrip Tincture, fit for any nerd master to try. Ingredients: 1 cup water, 1 tablespoon molasses, 1/2 cup dark maple syrup, 2 cinnamon sticks cut into small pieces, 1 dash of red pepper.
No alcohol.
Instructions: 1. In a small saucepan, combine water and molasses. Bring to a boil and stir in the cinnamon sticks and red pepper. 2. Reduce heat and simmer for 5 minutes. 3. Remove from heat and let cool for 20 minutes. 4. Strain the mixture through a fine mesh sieve into a jar. discarding the spices. 5. Add maple syrup to the jar and stir to combine. 6. Store in a cool, dark place for at least 1 week, or until the liquid begins to turn orange, indicating the presence of the hillbilly cantrip charm. Serve the hillbilly cantrip tincture steeped in hot coffee, black, or pour over ice and add a lemon twist for a tangy, sweet cocktail. No matter how you enjoy it, may you have a lucky and creative roll every time you play with Andy's magical creations. If you like this titles, check out the rest of Endorphin's Dungeon Masters World Leaders. 1. Endorphin do Miss Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer a romp in a bathhouse for the gods. Will the two senators be able to make it out alive with some juicy gossip on Asmodeus? 2. Biden's endomorphin board led by Loki, a group of AI strategists called Endomorphs, navigate the road to a safer, smarter America. Get inside Biden's mind and find out what his dreams are. 3. The Great Infinity Debate based on the conversation with Kamala and JD. What can they do to bridge the gap and ensure inclusivity and compassion in politics? This quest has never been solved before, and maybe a mix of nerds, dreamers, and doers can finally solve it. 4. Schwally is Treasury Secretary. Steve Schwally must prove his competency in Endorphin's worlds. Only then can he claim the mantle of endomorphic Treasury Secretary, lest they find themselves without one as he goes. If this were to be reality, what must Steve learn, unlearn, and navigate to fulfill his role? How much danger is lurking around the corner for them? 5. Fossil-free Wall Street with the climate crisis hitting home. Former commodities trader Nathan Dorf's pitches a different set of markets for a just transition for workers. There's an overlap with venture capital, data management, and predictive technology, but where does one fit? Discover if a New York finance professional like Lottie can actually transform a stubborn industry and secure her well-being with the future world.
Spoilers, no.
6. Infamous for good crony banking magnate Lou Harlock turns on the public, ruining his family name and reputation. 7. Lindsey Graham's Inferno and Nephilim downfall based on the end times concept from Neil deGrasse Tyson. President Lindsey Graham hopes to survive with the help of mythical beasts summoned from beyond. Where does he draw the line between real-world adversity and his faith in the Almighty? Should we care what good has been put to this aid? Or can Graham negotiate himself a way out of hell and judgment from heaven? A whodunit meets fantasy drama series. 8. Trump the Wizard of Zoom based on his magic potion scam and role in pandemic relief. Former President Donald Trump proves himself a formidable sorcerer. Only Odin can stop his reign of terror, but we let him in time. A fantasy farce designed to expose his secrets, scams, and egoism, especially for audiences at risk during COVID-19. Join us for a once-in-a-century treat. Epilogue. Endorphin. Good evening. Wonder, here's a Wednesday gift for you. A flick of the fingers and a deer falls from a flicker of portal, freshly killed in a state of peace. Tender. Endorphin. I know you could give two shits about the new world, but your insight would be welcome. This Vance, will he leave the United States better than he found it, or will he intend to warm his hands by setting the country aflame? Once. Oh, that J.D. Vance. So ambitious, so ruthless, so American. Well, only time will tell. For now, I'll be enjoying this delicious venison, for I am the one who hunts. Perhaps I shall keep Endorphin in suspense for a while longer. And